certification, I know exactly what's in my metals. If it's metal and it's on one of my pole spears, it was made in America, right?
So your pole spear, let's talk about your gear, because I really want to. So you mentioned aluminum. You're a pole spear guy. Aluminum, carbon fiber, fiberglass. What's your thoughts on all that stuff? Because carbon fiber is right, lighter, snap, whatever it is.
Time and place and situation and person that's using it, right? People say, okay, aluminum. Once upon a time, right, aluminum wasn't as expensive as it is now, right? So the price differential between an aluminum spear and a carbon fiber spear has diminished because aluminum prices have gone up. Composites have gotten cheaper because as a technology, it's been produced more often now. So now it's gotten better, right? That's just the way that any introduction of any technological advancement happens, right? It at first comes out, it's expensive. People start figuring out production, and it gets cheaper, right? So that gap of cost for composite materials, whether it be fiberglass or carbon fiber, has definitely gotten cheaper to produce, and aluminum has actually become more expensive. But once upon a time, people bought aluminum spears because they were cheaper and heavier because they wanted that punch. Well, these composite spears are so fast now, and with the introduction of rollers versus non-rollers, which we can get there.
Yeah, we will. Yeah.
Right. That's a whole nother subject. But the reason why I like aluminum is when you're in the Bahamas and you don't have a dive store or 17 other pole spears on deck, and your section bends with aluminum, most of the time it bends, it doesn't break, right? Most cases, if you do get a fish that's big enough to bend your aluminum section pole spear, it's going to bend. Sure. Guess what? Bend it back slowly, roll it on concrete, hit it with a mallet or something soft, or, at least soft face, so you're not dinging into the metal, right? And you can get that thing pretty straight. Granted, it may have a little bit of an S to it, but guess what? You're shooting a pole spear inside of a rock at a fish that's rocked up. You don't need it to be perfectly straight, right? You are going to make contact with it if you're in close quarters. Now, if you're trying to take that same S-shaped pole spear and shoot something that's out in the open, okay, we can have a different conversation about that, right? But when composites fail, they snap. There's no more usage. There's no, okay, let me wrap some duct tape on it and hope it works. It's done. It's over.
And splinters.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing left to it, right? So when you talk about being in a remote area, a remote location, and you talk about Last Stand, Call of Duty fans, right? Last Stand or Last Chance, right? You got this wounded pole spear, but guess what? It still works because it's aluminum and you're able to bend it back, right? That's one of the reasons I personally like aluminum spears. Now, with that said, do I find benefit in the carbon? Absolutely. Because guess what? Sometimes carbon will bend and come right back, right? If it bends,
there's a little bit of flex, yeah.
Right, it's going to come right back. With aluminum, if it bends to the point where some carbon fiber pole spears you see bend to, they're going to stay bent. They're not going to come back.
Yeah, or just explode and fail completely, right? Anything carbon fiber just fails.
I don't care how good it is, and that was a little bit annoying, and it was I was part of it. Right? Our pole spear is bigger, better, stronger, faster, right? It's marketing for you, right? But now,
it is what it is. Yeah.
But now you'll literally hear me say, people be like, "Oh, but that's not your pole spear. It must suck." And I'm like, "No, it's actually a damn good pole spear."
Right.
You've got it, and I really don't care. This is, people say, "Oh, that's bad. You're not helping your business." I really don't care, dude. Look, the Headhunter Nomad is a great pole spear for a lot of people, right? Okay.
Well, at some point, you can only do so much with what a pole spear.
It's a
pole spear is right. And I say the same thing even for spearfishing equipment. At some point, if you have a straight track, and a balanced gun, that thing's going to fire and it's going to go straight with a straight. If the shit's straight, you'll be fine, regardless of whatever name you stick on it. If it's a straight track and a straight shaft, it could be all right.
Now, but that's what you're saying is if it's a straight track. Well, guess what? That comes to the craftsmanship. Okay, so there is such thing as not all pole spears are created equal, right? There is such thing as some guys that are good and they've got it dialed and they've got their procedures in, and those are the brands that you trust because they are able to consistently put out this equipment. And this is not a knock on the garage guys who put them together, because some of those guys are even better craftsmen.
Well, it's just a process. Yeah. It's
right.
the process.
And inevitably, the more you do, the more chances you have for error. Right.
Right.
And except the difference is now when you have error, you're no longer messing up on a batch of 10, you're messing up on a batch of 1,000. And let me tell you, that hurts.
I can't imagine that.
When you make a wrong decision, right? And I did all the CNC machining in Miami initially. Every single pole spear was machined in an aviation machine shop that I worked at for years prior to this. Right. And now I have it in Chicago because I can't possibly have it all underneath one roof. It's impossible. And why would I bother when I'm not an expert machinist, but the guy who machines it now is.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it just makes sense for me. So I actually have both aluminum and composite pole spears. And I even have a hybrid with a guy named Christopher Tavera that, you know, it combines both, right? So that you get the benefits from both types.
Right.